Good day and welcome to the Stomp It podcast. Today I'm here with Reine Barkered. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, what did you have for lunch?
For lunch I had a grilled cheese sandwich that my wife made me.
Ooh,
Bacon on it too.
good stuff. I came across you several years ago when I made a video about how to drop cliffs on skis. Do you have a memory of that?
Yeah, I do have a vague memory of that.
And back then I was quite insecure about putting things out on the internet. So anytime someone would think what I was doing wasn't that great or something, that would hurt some. And I saved this print screen from like 2018 perhaps.
No, you didn't.
From I think it was Free Ski magazine that shared this how to drop cliffs video. And I thought I'd bring that up. And then we have this guy, he says that my video shows, this is exactly what he said. That technique is fine for little jumps. Drop something over 40 feet and you'll be drinking from a straw doing that. And I felt just a wee bit hurt from that. Next guy, he says, truth. And then you, Reine, I think someone had tagged you.
Yeah, I think so.
To get involved in this. And do you want to hear what you said?
Yeah, because I don't really remember. I hope it was good.
Yeah, so you said, I say it's fine up to 75 to 85 feet.
So specific too.
Yeah, to go for the stomp in good conditions. After that, it gets a little tricky. A fine tutorial, I think. Good job, Stomp It tutorials. That comment meant the world to me. I was so stoked to get it.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. Oh, it's so weird because I see it from the other side and I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, yeah, so...
Yeah, so 75 to 85, that's 22 to 25 meters. I had to look it up before the interview today.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a high cliff.
That's a high cliff, yeah. That's when stuff starts to not work in general. But I think it was Fred Syversen, you know, the guy who jumped 108 meters.
Yeah.
He said, no, don't quote me on the height now, but I think it was like anything under 25 can be stomped, something like that, or it was a 30 even, like can be stomped. Like he said them with utmost certainty. So I guess that's the benchmark.
Okay.
You know, it's like you can stomp that.
So it's possible to stomp a cliff after that. That's a huge drop.
That's a huge drop.
My personal best is a mere maybe 12 meters.
That's a huge drop too.
I
think after some point it's just the impact is going to be pretty severe no matter how you bend it. But I mean, theoretically, if you get everything perfect and the landing starts at vertical and slowly goes out, I mean, theoretically you could probably, it's unlimited how high you can drop. Practically, no, but theoretically, do you know those wingsuit guys who lands in a net from God knows how high, or boxes or whatever? Like, I don't know. You should be able to do it. There's terminal velocity after 200 meters or something.
Yeah, and that's if you're falling on your stomach about 220 kilometers an hour.
Right, so you do that, and then you just tuck for the perfect landing in 90 degree, and then slowly going out. Easy.
Yeah, well,
but I do remember that the video made perfect sense.
Thank you.
The Stomp It video. I looked at it like, no, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And there's always some American coming say that you don't.
Yeah, but I'm bringing that up because I'd like to ask you for some advice on how to stomp stuff. Because you've been on a Freeride World Tour for 14 years, right?
14 years, yeah.
And they call you the mayor of Stomp Town. You even have a drop named after yourself, I've heard.
Yeah.
On the most legendary face in the world, Beck the Ross.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I think I got that just because I did it so often. So it's like they had to say it because that's where Reine always go. So there's one way of getting a cliff named after you.
Just repeat it until people
exactly.
know that's where he's going. But in your opinion, like, what are some key things to get right when trying to land big drops?
Well, if we just take the drop itself first, which is I think the main problem or mistake people do, they pick bad drops. Like there's definitely good and bad drops, and
how does a bad drop look?
Flat landing, then it doesn't matter. Like if it's flat, it's gonna suck no matter how you no matter how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually say that the landing needs to be your age in degrees minimum.
Your age in degrees.
Minimum, exactly. So I'm 40 now, so I get a 40-degree landing, which is pretty sweet. I mean, when you're 25, you just have to take those hits, but it sucks.
With 25-degree landings, yeah, that's flat.
Yeah, that's pretty flat, but you're 25, so you could probably do it. No, you shouldn't. No, but yeah, just look for good drops and then practice on those. That's the first thing, that you can repeat without feeling the impact that same night and like just hurt the next day.
So that's the steepness of the landing. How do you feel about the steepness of the takeoff?
I think mentally it's good to practice when the takeoff is kind of flat, because you get that completely blind takeoff where you have to commit already. More likely your drops in especially competitions is going to be more on the facing, like leaning down a little bit. Those are maybe psychologically better, but you also usually go much faster on them. So, it's you take the good with the bad. On the other hand, you can, like the Hollywood drop on Beck to Ross for our finals in Verbia, it's a good example. When you're on that takeoff or even a little bit back from it, you pretty much see your landing and outrun already, because it's so far in front of you and it's so steep where you jump off. On the other hand, forget about tricks. So yeah, I prefer a flat. The best drop in the world is right here in Åre, actually.
Which one?
It's Mortens Brandt.
Oh.
Because it's a cornice, and it's a cornice and a really steep pitch after, and also you usually get a low wind formation, which creates this sort of, it's not a gap, but it's definitely a bit flatter in the beginning to then go into a really steep landing. So if you hit it just right speed, you don't even bend your knees when you land. Nice. And then you can just start taking more and more speed, and eventually you skate towards that thing. And it's super scary because all you see is the valley.
Wow.
Downfalls, you have to go there, and then you practice to really pop off the takeoff and not just roll off like you were talking about in your video.
Oh, you remember now and talking about it.
It's coming back.
Yeah. So you like popping off the takeoff in drops?
Yeah, and I gotta admit, sometimes I chicken out on that too. I do it more, I think, if I know that there's a sweet spot in a landing in a specific place, or if it's huge. Because trying to keep the balance. But yeah, 99 times out of 100, if you pop, you're gonna have way more control.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just gets a couple of meters bigger.
And you get more control. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not as satisfying to absorb the lip.
It's not. I looked at a clip I have from Alaska where I really roll off the lip. I think I even pull my knees up to my chin. The tricky part, it was nipple deep. No kidding. So it's like you had nothing really to pop off, and there was just a huge pillow that rolled off. So it's like, if I pop, do this whole thing come down with me, or, so...
Oh, so you did it a little bit of avalanche safety.
That's what I like to tell myself now that I did. But it also was very big. So I don't know if I chicken out. But yeah, the deep snow really like, shit, so how do you do this? Because skiing here in Åre, we don't have deep snow takeoffs. Or landing, for that matter. So
yeah, you grew up skiing here in Åre, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What laid the foundation for becoming such a world-class skier?
Well, I grew up ski
He's
racing.
Swedish, getting a little humble there.
It's tough. It's tough to hear praise. Grew up ski racing.
Yeah.
For those that are a little bit older, remember Ingmar Stenmark, legendary Swedish alpine skier. So, that was what my dad and mom looked to. It's like, Stenmark. So everyone wanted another little Stenmark. Yeah. So I grew up with that in mind. Many years later, of course, but everyone in town wanted a new Stenmark. So everyone was racing. So I did that until I was 17.
Yeah.
Did my first and only FIS race, but my heart was really not in it anymore. The atmosphere in the racing community is terrible.
In what way?
It's multifaceted. I would say it's parents is a big part of it. A lot of parents, what we call race dads, have a pretty terrible attitude. Like, I went to the races, saw my friends that I knew since we were little kids. We're still pretty young. I mean, I'm talking, this started already when we were 13 or something. And the attitude was like, I saw my friend Jens, like, oh, hey, Jens, and we took some laps and had fun, and eventually you get like shoved away by his dad, like, no, Jens needs to focus on the race. And it's like, we're 13 years old, it was like, no one is that serious. They were not allowed to free ski. If you went in the woods and had fun between laps on a training, you get yelled at by the coaches, and it had nothing to do with the joy of skiing. Only that clock, beat that clock the whole time, and it gets old. I firmly believe that all skiing is good for you. So to get that thrown in your face is just kill it for so many young kids.
So if there's any dads listening out there, what's your advice to them?
Step back and let them ski, and have a good coach. A good coach would know. Like I had a great coach for many years who he never said anything until you did a really good run, and it's like, focus on that.
All right.
So it was pretty good actually, but yeah, pretty toxic. It's hard to explain.
Well, yeah, I think you did a fine job.
Okay.
People can imagine that, I think.
Yeah. So I went away from racing, went to school, and just skied in the weekends. But then found myself going back to skiing. Bought the movie Propaganda by Poor Boys Production.
That's one of my favorites.
That's a great movie.
A really good one.
Of course, before that we had Free Radicals too. Free Radicals 1, 2, and all of those. So start watching that and like, okay, this looks like something I could get into.
They're rad old Swedish ski movies.
They're pretty great.
I noticed on your social media content that perhaps they have influenced your taste in music.
A tiny bit, yeah.
Like the helicopters,
yeah, there's a lot of helicopters in there.
Sort of thing.
And I put that out because I think like maybe some other old people like me is like, yes, there it is.
I felt that way researching you before this interview. I was like, helicopters.
Yes.
It's such good music.
It is good music. Gets you going. And I think it's making a comeback, that type of music in skiing.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's rocking. It gets you going. Gets you fired up about life. So ski racing, if I watch you on the Freeride World Tour, you can tell like you've been racing in a good way. I think you're so fast down. You look so solid.
It's I think it definitely helps if you come from a racing background to manage the speed. And,
and the G forces, and I think there can't be any better training to become a good freeride athlete. What do you think about that statement?
It can be. I think it's pretty accurate, and I would put mogul in there too. Although the mogul skiers that I looked at a lot have also racing, so it's hard to divide. Like Henrik Winstedt was one of the best skiers I've seen on tour, and he had both backgrounds, obviously. So should we say formal training? It's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, which I don't, and it's certainly
pretty good.
Well, I'm all right, but my technique was really awful a decade ago.
Where are those videos?
Well, I've showed it a little bit on the YouTube channel where I break down how my... in one video I showed this, me skiing down towards a pretty nice like ice drop in Kobos at Hemavan.
Okay, yeah.
And I just show how I think my technique is really quite shit as I approach it. Well, first I showed it full speed, like a skier skis down towards this thing, drops over like some slough, and it looks really quite rad, and then slow it down like that was not rad for these 5 reasons of shit skiing.
Oh, okay.
But it's thanks to the ski instructor world that I've got decent technique today. So that's how I got some sort of formal training.
That makes a lot of sense because after school I did go into ski instructor academy.
Oh, did you?
Skidlärarlinjen.
Oh.
Yeah, so I did that for a year, and that taught me a lot about my own skiing, to analyze myself, which I then could implement into a little more free riding, which I haven't been doing before. So I think that like the ski instructor stuff helps a lot because you actually start to think about it.
Can you remember something you learned?
During the ski instructor part?
Yeah, it's a while ago.
Oh, it's a while ago, and I actually
years.
don't know the English term, but avlastningssvängar.
Oh, I don't know what this is in
Okay.
Swedish. I don't know ski instructing in Swedish.
Small like little tweaks I did that come from the groomers that you didn't necessarily do in racing, but that I found out that works very well in powder. Like, you don't want to go full race pressure in powder. It's terrible. You're gonna go over the bars immediately. So like to manage that, start looking a little bit on how to manage that with avlastningssvängen.
Can you explain what an avlastningssväng is? It sounds like
basically,
a deloading turn.
Instead of pushing through the turn and pushing all the way into the next turn, you basically pull up your legs, basically just release the turn and throw it out on the other side.
Okay, so is it 2 things? So basically, if you're watching this video, that you imagine a C shape. Are you both like cutting off the lower part a little bit of it?
Cutting the lower part
and
of the C.
absorbing the legs a little bit to get
Yeah.
onto the next one.
Almost getting them completely out of the snow and push them out on the other side. It's very helpful if you have a ton of speed. Instead of just pushing through the turn the whole way, it will high side you if it's steep.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice.
So I think I learned that then. I think. You know, it's small tweaks here and there.
Yeah, and it's a long time ago. Yeah, but mogul skiing, I can imagine that's fantastic training too. But just the ability to do like giant slalom, turns down, face like Bechteros, it seems like the race background is potentially even more valuable.
Yeah, I would say so. The steeper it gets, the more obvious it gets who come from obvious or from alpine formal training. From what I've seen, times are changing. It's getting harder and harder to see with people who grew up free riding now from an early age. But yeah, I think there's still some truth to it.
When it comes to making nice powder turns, well, do you get some advice for my like intermediate skier audience?
It shouldn't be for me. I'm terrible at powder turns. Powder is difficult.
You're like crusty rad
like
looking.
now a wind pack, like a Race-Pow, just like 5 cms on like successfully harder snow. Like if you land from a really big drop, you shouldn't sink more than like maybe 10-15 centimeters max. It's perfect. Then you'll stomp everything.
Yeah, I can hear you grew up in Åre, Sweden, because the snow here shapes the skiers quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. So, but we do, like I said, we were not great at powder. Mia and Carl Regner and Christopher Tredell was actually talking about this when we were in Canada, and we saw all these people just sending these big pillow lines. And we're looking at it like, but it's flat in between the pillows. Like you would like knees to face in between every, but they know, like, no, it's so soft that you point it and it's gonna be fine. But we coming from our background and skiing this, it's like if you do this in conditions at home, you die. So it's like in your spine that's like nope, you don't do this. So we're take some getting used to.
Why do you think there are so many Swedish guys on the Freeride World Tour with our baby mountains that are beautiful and wonderful in many ways, but still they're not like the Alps?
I think it's three things. One, like I said, if you grow up in tough ski conditions, you have to land everything you do. You have to manage very difficult snow to slow down in. So when you get to the Alps and the snow is, in our eyes, perfect, which maybe the French people don't agree that it is perfect at that day. Like for us, it's like, oh, this is amazing. You can do whatever. So coming from tougher conditions, so you see this in the Kiwis too. And the people from East Coast US have kind of the same deal. Second is very good community. I think we've had a long tradition ever since the Free Radicals movie and the Scandinavian Big Mountain Championship that goes down every year in Riksgränsen. World's oldest running freeride competition.
Really?
Yes. Crested Butte was close, but then they missed a year, and yeah, you know. So that's another part of it. And third, we travel a lot. I think anyone who's in the ski industry knows that you will run into a Swede somewhere. I think there's even a saying like in Verbi or in the Alps in some place, like don't tell the Swedes when they find like a good spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all over it. So yeah, the traveling I think makes a big difference.
I've heard in Engelberg there's a bar that says dogs and Swedes are not allowed. Is this true? I have not seen this with my own eyes.
Well, obviously I haven't been in it. It's like I might. That would explain some things actually.
There are good, 3 good reasons.
Yeah.
The community, I didn't think about that.
Huge community.
Yeah. So what the Swedish mountains are lacking in big steep faces, it makes up for difficult condition like the snow.
Yeah.
Making small hills difficult to master.
Yeah, exactly. Really selling it as a tourist destination. Yeah, come over here.
Well, if you want to become a world-class freeride athlete, it sounds like the place to be.
Yeah. It could be. And there's always snow. Not this, it's too hot, the snow is terrible. Like it's cold enough to always be snow here.
Yeah. That's good stuff. How do you train for a season of Freeride World Tour?
Well, if I ask Reine from 2009 onwards to like 2013, 14, mostly Battlefield 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gotta keep those reflexes up, and so I was trying to go professional there.
In gaming.
Yeah, in gaming.
Yeah, you were one of the best helicopter pilots, right?
Yeah.
In
Well,
Sweden?
I was pretty high ranked there in the Nordic League for heli pilot. So yeah, no, the gaming was great.
What about fitness? Did you not do any strength sometime?
Didn't I just tell you Battlefield 2, 3, and 4? So.
All right, good.
I did something. I had other activities. So when I did mountain biking and some other stuff, and I got my fitness through there. But over the years, obviously, you have to train a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I have a selective memory of this and think like, I was only gaming. Although people have been telling me I was only gaming too. But I would like to think that I did squeeze in some training.
Mm-hmm.
One thing though that is true then and also now, the best training is just get on snow as early as possible and just ski many days. Because no matter how much time you spend in the gym or go running before, like you would never catch up to the guy who had been out since early November or December if you come out in January and start. I found.
I think that's true. Because I, on and off, go into the ski season pretty strong, like with squats and those sort of things. But you still have a couple of weeks, like getting used to skiing period, where nothing beats skiing.
You get that feeling, it's like, I don't know how to ski. Like, this is terrible. You see it on video and it looks alright, but you feel it yourself. It's like you're off.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna crash, and your edging is terrible.
Every year.
It's pretty tough. That. Do you have that in all sports? Like, do you have it in bikes, or mountain bikes too?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Every spring when I take the bike out to shred some enduro on trails, I feel like, oh wow, this is so dangerous. I could die any second.
I mean, of course, for the people who are listening, they're like, oh, of course, you're rusty. It's normal. But you think like when you reach a certain level that I'm gonna be alright. But no, it's the same thing. But like I said, watching it, like you see a video of yourself skiing at that point, it's like, actually, it doesn't look half bad. It looks alright. It looked better than it felt. But that feeling is no fun. Because you want to be as confident as you were in late March.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful to hear it from an accomplished skier like yourself. Sorry for complimenting, I didn't mean it. No, I meant it, but I didn't want to make you feel awkward. Yeah, I think people are going to like to hear that it never goes away, that rusty feeling at the beginning of the season.
No, it doesn't. If you're lucky, you're still on the same boots as you were. Yeah. Some years better than others with the rusty thing, but if you're lucky enough to keep your boots at least, and haven't worn them out yet, it's a little bit better.
Okay, prepare to feel a little awkward now.
Shit.
Good. So you've been on a Freeride World Tour for 14 years. I think I counted it up to 8 times you've been in the top 5. You got 3 wins on the Verbier phase, right?
Yeah.
And 1 overall champion.
Yeah.
So you're clearly very good at competing. How do you go about planning a world champion ski run?
Oh, shit. I guess all runs have been, if I'm looking back, to try to make an analysis when it went well and when it didn't, when it was a world championship winning run. You're nervous almost on all competitions, but on the ones where you have a winning run lineup, you're nervous to the point where it's not fun. You want to be somewhere completely different, and it's something internal. You can feel it. Like if you have something good going on, you're gonna be extremely nervous. The times I haven't been nervous at all, it's terrible runs. Or if you feel like, of course you're nervous on a competition, you feel normal nervous. You have a podium run going on, maybe. So what I've been doing, I've basically been looking at what I think is the best run. This is the hardest thing I can do today, I think. Then maybe I put some tactics in it, like, I know these judges, they really like if you jump like side hill, I should try to squeeze that in, or whatever, something like that. So I know I'm always going for a podium run. Like I never like, this run should be good enough for top 10. It's like, no, always a podium run, and then sometimes just squeeze that a little extra for that win. But you should ask Trudell, he wins more than I do.
Well, now I'm asking you. So,
Yeah.
you're a little extra nervous. This makes sense. So you're actually more nervous about the fact you've done well earlier this season, and this could really pay off.
Yeah.
So that makes you maybe more nervous than the fear of death.
Oh, 100%.
That's silly.
Well, I never pick, even though it might look like it, with a few exceptions, I pick lines that I can crash.
Ah.
Normally, the big drops I do in high speed on the back have pretty clear landing under them, or at least have a decent chance of tomahawking over snow, mostly. There's been occasions where I lined up something like, you need to stick this or it will be terrible for you. Not sure I've been much more nervous about those days, because if I'm going for something like that, I feel very confident that I'm gonna stick it. Otherwise I wouldn't. So the worst feeling I think on any competition is when I don't have a solid idea. Like I don't know where the best line is, I don't know if that feature is even cool, then I just feel like crap on the start. And this happens quite often.
Really?
Well, it depends on the venue. If you have a big mountain, it's very easy to not have that happening, but a lot of the smaller venues, it feels like, I guess I go here then, and it's still like not great.
Do you have some tips on like scouting lines that could lead to a winning run for someone?
Yes, for sure. I think the biggest mistake I've seen people do is that they see a feature that they really want to do, which is a good way to start if you can link it together, but some people get stuck on that feature. So they're gonna make it to that feature and do that feature no matter what, even if it means that they do a full maze to get there, missing a natural line or something, and it just gets messy, and they do that feature, they're super happy they did it, and then get disappointed that the score got bad, but they traversed over half the mountain to do it. So not do that. I would say you stick to it if it makes sense, and then just drop it as soon as you see like there is no finish, there's no top and bottom if you do that feature in the middle. You need a wow in the beginning, you need solid skiing in the middle, and you need a wow in the end. Then you win.
Wow, solid, wow.
Yeah. You need 2 wows. 1 wow, you podium.
2 you win.
If the wow is at the bottom, not at the top.
I love your recipe.
Yeah, it's easy.
I think I'm going to sign up for the Freeride World Tour qualifier.
Do it. It's
I
fun.
don't think, no.
It is a pretty terrible feeling. Yeah, I hear every guy on the tour every once in a while and start like, why are we here? Why I could have been in bed right now, or I could have been filming and just go out and have fun. And what were we doing this? And then 4 hours later, we're done in the finish line. It's like, yeah, it's so sick, dude. Can't wait to go to the next stop. And go to the next stop, and it's the same story again.
I understand why it's, I've only done like 1 freeride contest, not 2. Ride the cow in Hemavan.
Oh yeah.
So it's small scale, friendly.
Still a comp.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're A, scared of just what the line could do to you if you mess it up, and B, we got some honor to defend.
Yeah, you want to look good.
So I do have some understanding for you being more afraid of that honor part, or knowing that you've done pretty well this season, and fear that more than the death that the line could bring.
It could bring. But in my experience, the few times I got hurt, the one time I did get hurt was free riding just at home. There was nothing. And in competition, you're usually fine because you're so focused. So there's that. And I would say the honor part is the internal honor. I don't really care what someone thinks if I skied a bit of a chicken line, or like didn't do well, or threw the world's ugliest 360 and tumbled down the mountain. But it hurts inside myself that I could have done better. The year I won, actually, the run in Verbier, because I won Verbier and the tour on that run, I came down as like, yeah, that was terrible. That was a crappy run. The good thing was it was a crappy run, but objectively it was the best run of that day because everyone was struggling so bad. The snow was super tough. People got stuck right and left. It was just difficult to ski. But I wasn't so happy. Like, I came down and was like, I should ski better than that. Then, because like 2 years before, I skied the best run I've ever done on the back. Got 6th place. But I'm still more happy about that run than I am with the win.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
You want to look back at the good, like I skied well here. That was sick. Not that, that was pretty lame.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're happy of the win, obviously. Like, you take it, but kind of want to... Yeah, it's like you do a big trick, and the people are like, oh, I was sick, and you see something that was off about it that you didn't like, that got caught on the cameras, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, that you just got the grab, slipped off straight away. Kind of made it look like you held the grab, but you didn't. Oh,
and you know
gross.
It's like, no. Yeah, that's not what you want. And I think that's what differentiates people that get, you know, if you want to get really good, you kind of have to have that little self-awareness and be a little self-critic. If you just look at the result, especially in this sport, a completely judged sport with, you know, not even the riders knows who wins from time to time. If you look at only results, you're gonna go nuts. So look at your own skiing, and then the results is what it is.
Compete against yourself.
I think maybe a cliche, but you have to, because like I said, you will go nuts if you get bad results and you think you skied really well. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Well, it does suck if you know you skied well and you get bad results, which happens quite frequently.
Yeah, well, it's a sport that gets judged by others. That's always going to happen, right?
Yeah, and it's a little more loose than, say, mogul and maybe freestyle even. It's easier to see what someone made them and say, oh, well, freestyle is tough for me to watch too, sometimes with Olympic big air. It's like, oh, I thought that would look better, but all right. I have no idea.
Yeah. No,
And sometimes people don't have poles.
in
I mean,
freestyle.
that's minus 20 already.
When is that going to come in freeride skiing?
I don't think it will, because sometimes we do get stuck on flats. And but you don't have to start with poles. It is optional, but I don't see anyone not using them.
Yeah, that makes me think. So you've been a professional skier for all the 14 years or a little less?
Maybe full-time living the last 13, 14 years.
Okay, so
yeah,
pretty much straight out of the gate once you entered the World Tour, almost.
Almost once I entered. I'd say the first year was a break-even on the tour in 2009, and before that I had some support, but not enough. So yeah.
Can you tell a story about your first day on the tour?
Yeah, Russia. Oh man, you know how we talked about that rusty part in the beginning, the rusty beginner season? Reine did not do that this season. He came in swinging, so cocky, like, yeah, I got this, everything. Like, skiing is perfect. I skied it just here in Oron, like, room is like, felt great. Coming to Russia in this deep powder terrain that was super unfamiliar to me, and standing in the start gate in the inspection, because we actually got to go out a little bit at the start. Kai Sackerson is there, Sverre Liljeqvist, Seb Michaud, Darlene Ducrot, all of these legends that I've seen competing, and I was like, okay, don't be a little bitch now. Went up there, and Kai is standing there like, it looks kind of tricky, you know, to side slip down here and to get in there. And I looked like, yeah, no problem. And then I walked away. So I get 10 meters out of the start gate, slide down there, got compressed, tipped over, and hung upside down in a tree, like 10 meters out the start gate. Made it to Jerry of the day. You can find it there.
It's a nice crash.
It's a nice crash. It hurt. Like, that compression was pretty severe.
It didn't look like it.
And I was hanging there. It's like, maybe the judges didn't see that. And then I realized I'm still hanging there. So, you know, that was pretty terrible. And what's not in that movie is that I was still stuck in this area that I had to ski down from. I already crashed. My run is over. But I had to drop into this couloir. And I failed that too, and tomahawk down the couloir as well. So yeah, that was not an awesome start.
But you still got second place overall that year.
I did get second place overall.
That's incredible.
It went uphill after that. Uphill, yeah.
It went better.
Yeah, it went way better, yeah. I won the next event, so that was a bit of a redemption.
Yeah, so shortly after...
A little more humble going into that.
Yeah. I bet that humility was good for you. Back
Very
to
much
Swedish
so.
humble nature.
Yeah. Usually I am, but not that year for some reason.
How do you think life as a pro skier has changed over this time, since then to now?
For people in general?
Yeah, pro skiers in general.
I have this friend who was a pro skier already when I started, and he kept saying like, "Oh, the sweetbread days are over," meaning, I don't know what English translation would be. Sötbrödsdagarna. The good days are over, meaning like it's harder to get sponsor money, it's harder to do this. But he said that like with 3 years in between all the time that they were, but they never really were. So with what I'm trying to say is I don't think it has changed all that much. Of course, the introduction of social media changed on how you are a pro skier. But the baseline of the business is pretty much the same. I would say that, no, not even that. I was going to say that what have changed is that, well, before you had to really be top skier. But most people that were on covers on ski magazine were like the more recreational skiers. Even back then, like,
oh, really?
Some people are better on social media now, might be a little not as good as some. Not saying that people on social media are not good skiers, but you know what I'm talking about. So the influencer type skiers were present even then, just in magazine form. So that was more about knowing photographers.
Oh, you gotta have the right friends.
You gotta have the right friends. With that said, most people that were shooting, and still is today, I mean, everyone is a great skier. And competition wasn't really a thing before the Freeride World Tour, like to make a living of. So if you have someone that's older than me, say Sverre maybe, or someone, you did competition then to get into filming. A little bit like that in the US still, but with the introduction of the Freeride World Tour, then competition became a profession. So I guess that changed.
How come did you choose that route?
I
have a feeling. Are you addicted to that feeling of being nervous?
Not at
and
all.
Sending it. Not at all.
Well, yeah, I'm addicted in the way because I know it keeps me keeps my edge. Like if you do competition, you can't like, I'm not gonna do this drop today. Or I'm not gonna do that. You have something to push for, and you have to. So it keeps your mindset in to try to improve yourself. But no, I think I just started competing and noticed like this is what I'm good at. On photos, Matthias Fredriksson told me like, no, you shouldn't do too many photos. You have too much race style and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, so I always have this elbow out. It's in all my photos. Look like I'm going for a gate. So, and I noticed like, competitions is where I did well. And then sort of just got stuck in that. I did have the opportunity to film with Matchstick when I was on another sponsor back in the day. There was sponsor Matchstick. So I asked them like, can I go and film with them? Because you're sponsoring. Yeah, for sure. But then you can't compete. We need you on standby like throughout the season. If for a ski movie, it's the whole season standby basically. You need to be ready to go. So I couldn't be committed in 2 places.
Oh.
So then I chose to stay with the competition scene, and it was good that I did because that's when the big break kind of started. All
right. So you're happy with that decision to stay with competition?
I mean, it would have been great to at least do 1 year with Matchstick for sure. But then I would be off the tour, and who knows if I would have made it back in the qualifiers or.
Yeah. Yeah, Matchstick kind of used to dictate who got to be a pro skier and who didn't.
And even more so back in the day, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you had the wrong clothing brand, you were not in Matchstick. That was just the way it was.
I didn't know that. So you really had to be on the right clothing brand that sponsors Matchstick or paid for advertising with them.
Correct. Few jokers, but then they were on one of the other title sponsors, obviously. But now you can more buy in, which I think is a little more fair in some sense.
What do you mean that today you can get in by just being good in front of camera? Yeah,
I mean, if you're good, you have to be an amazing skier, but you can also like if you can show that you bring money to the table. If you show I'm gonna bring this sponsor in and they're gonna pay X amount for this movie on top of like my appearance fee, then it's gonna, from a business standpoint, hard for them to reject you.
How disappointing to hear this.
It's not everyone. I'm sure both Matchstick and TGR grabs people too.
Yeah.
And make it happen.
Just get them under the arm if they're the right people who will bring the viewers and a unique flair, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure they've done that with many riders over the years. So you can see them as the wild cards, I guess. But in general, it seemed like you had to have the right sponsors.
Nice. And so you've been shredding incredibly hard for decades now. You're 40 years old.
Yeah.
Where's the fountain of youth?
Have you ever played Battlefield 1, 2?
Same answer again.
I don't know. I had problems with my body for a long time, but that went away. And I mean, I feel better today than I did when I was 25. Your mindset goes different places, and now I have a kid, so that messes with things, obviously, and you're not as prone to taking risks. But I think for me, it's staying in competition have kept me young. I had to be.
You're the youngest looking 40-year-old I ever met.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, well, what do you do, mate? How is it possible? So many skiers, they're like, oh, I feel old and broken when they're like 26.
I think some people are just unlucky.
Yeah.
If you have, I don't know, some genetic inheritance, you're just gonna hurt. And other people can, I mean, I saw Sverre had an open booked pelvic fracture and he still was walking around before the doctors got him to sit down. Like, that shouldn't be possible. He could. Most of us would just die on the spot.
Yeah.
So he's built one way. Some people are built another way. But
that's a
luck.
horrendous injury. He had an open book. So basically the whole hip opens up, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what you would imagine when someone says this. And it can be it's lethal, I think. Like,
really?
It has a worse survival rate than one would hope. So yeah, that was scary. But yeah, on that topic of injuries and staying young, ski smart. Like, I don't know how many people I've seen come and go, colleagues of mine on the tour and around, that have just come out of nowhere. You think they're gonna hit it big because they're just crazy skiers, they do whatever, and then they get hurt 3 seasons in a row, or one huge career-ending injury because they get in less than ideal conditions or every day, all day. And that's not sustainable if you want to have a long career. It just won't work.
All right. So you, to some extent, is trying to limit the impacts you take on.
Yeah, a friend said it pretty well. It was a good comeback from him because he never did really well in competition, but he's one of the best skiers I've seen outside of competition. So I told him, like, Erik, you're like the worst when it matters. It's like, yeah, you're right. But Reine, you're actually the worst when it doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, he's completely right. I'm super conservative outside of competition. Or competition / film, photo maybe, but like when I'm free riding with my friends, I bring it down like 60 notches. I don't know why, but just to try to stay healthy.
So enough to, yeah, ski well. I guess you still ski pretty hard when you bring it down 6 notches or 60. Because you don't do that many insane lines per year then. I guess the body can take that.
No, exactly. And imagine if you, especially when the conditions are not there. So it's like, okay, I'm going into competition. It's December. I'm going to go out and ski this huge line to really get ready and send that drop. It's like, well, it's like 30 centimeters, no base, and then sharks everywhere. It's like, that's probably going to be your season if you have that mindset to go out and do that. At least if you do it on a regular basis year after year. So you can't. There are exceptions. When we go here in the spring shed, maybe the comp season is over and the conditions are just perfect and everyone is sending it. Yeah, I will send it too. But it's more incentive, and that's when the real training is in between competitions, I guess.
Talking to you makes me want to compete again.
It is a lot of fun.
It is indeed. I am.
You're looking for wildcards on the tour, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm not good enough for it. I'm not wild enough. Because even when it matters, when I've been competing in freestyle skiing, my little dabble into freeride, I just want to always put down a line that I'm happy with, and I always like bring it down on. well, ski hard, but within the comfort zone. Like I want it to be nice, as beautiful as I can do, and if I can get it down in the first run, then I'm happy. And then second, you can go a little wilder. Just keep it strategically
within,
and then that way build confidence over time.
Right.
I did all right with that when I was young, to like build confidence that I knew that I could land runs when it mattered.
Gotcha.
While some friends and stuff would go all out. If they would land it, they would win, but the chances of landing it is slim, and then people can get their confidence hurt.
Yeah, that was the beginning, the first years on the tour, especially people doing tricks. Like people did it, but they just crashed, most of them. So not great for your confidence, of course.
Yeah, then you can't trust it.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's a good way to go about it. But then, as you know, it's like to get on that podium or win, it has to be 110 at least %.
Yeah.
That comfort zone, unfortunately, had to go out the window.
And then push beyond it.
Yeah, exactly. But it usually works out. And then, I mean, what's the consequences if you don't?
Yeah, not so much. For how much longer do you think you will be a competitive freeride skier?
No, I'm starting to think like this is my last year. I always said, no, you claim that like on the final day after the final run, that is the last year, because I've seen more people claim it before the season. But then it's kind of nice to have said it and have that as your goodbye season also. So I don't know, I almost quit 2 years ago when it went pretty well. And if it wasn't for Corona, I probably would have. Because I just wanted a nice final years, no restrictions, all the friends, all the events, take it all in one last time. But the last 2 years has been Corona restrictions, and kind of like you show up, poke your head out the hotel room, go and ski a lap, and then you're back into some sort of quarantine. And it's not the way I wanted to finish this like last decade and a half. So it's more that I want experience before I leave again, and then win. Yeah.
And I win.
yeah. It's hard now. It's pretty small venues, so it's I do better on bigger venues. So we'll see.
Yeah, those big, gnarly Mayor of Stumptown kind of lines. And then when you're done, what do you see yourself doing in skiing or other places?
Well, it would be awesome to start some form of YouTube channels where I do tutorials on how you do stuff.
How you stomp stuff.
Yeah, how you stomp stuff.
I've taken that name.
Someone has done that. Oh yeah. You know, it would be nice to get into a little more film.
Yeah.
Maybe not like a ski movie, that too. But those guys are too crazy to compete with. But something smaller. Like focus on creating some nice clips and some nice photos, and keep living this life for as long as possible. Or I just start a Reine React channel where I sit and hate on everyone's skiing videos.
I'd love it. Please don't react to my videos.
Look at this clown stomping.
No, so you're seriously considering doing a bit more videos, like for your own channel.
It's something like that, or together with someone and do small edits. Like it's not gonna be the ultimate run or one of those days, but just something that makes people want to go out and ski. Fun-loving videos, little travel, little powder skiing in Japan and stuff like that. It sounds like a vlog, doesn't it?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you gonna make it unique? Just being you, I would say. You're a fun dude.
Do that. I don't know. I mean, the possibilities are endless. My wife is gonna do a bigger project, like a full-on ski movie, and I mean, I'm not excluding that either. It takes a little more putting resources together, though. But something like that would be fun. And then I have my side gig now, working as the team manager for my clothing brand, and. So there's that, and I also ran for a local office. So we'll see, politician. To
actually become the mayor of Stomptown.
Yeah, exactly, mayor of Åre. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
We'll see what happens.
How did the election go for you?
It went really well for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll see. We're not the biggest party, but we're the second biggest party.
In order.
In order.
And this is a village of a couple of thousand people.
15,000 in the commune.
Ah, in the municipality.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. No, the idea is to stay in skiing. And this is what's great, I think, now. Because back in the day, you're done. Like,
you're done.
You're done. Like, you're old, you're hurting, you think you're hurting. And no one wants to do with you because you're not selling clothes anymore. Or skis. But then they realized, wait a minute, it's a pretty expensive sport. It's the older people that do sell or buy the stuff.
Yeah, well, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, take the opportunity. You can ask the audience what content you should make. Maybe someone will write something in the comments.
Yeah, what content should I make? I can do whatever. Like, it's easy, right?
Medium.
Medium easy. Yeah, that's a scary part. But I would go, if I do it, I would go into it because I think it's fun. And if people like it, great. If they don't, I still think it's fun, and it's a way for me to stay active.
Yeah,
I guess.
I wonder what content I would like to see from you. I know exactly.
Gaming.
No. Well, maybe you can combine it. This guy Steep on YouTube, he does that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I haven't watched any of the gaming ones, but he does that.
Yeah, I've seen the ski ones.
No, I know the obvious thing for you to do is to document your final season. And then you can call it the final countdown. You play some nice Swedish 80s rock music.
So I know what you're going to do on the side. You're going to be the perfect advisor for everyone what they should do with their life. Because it's a great idea. We should do that. It actually,
Because I absolutely love to watch that.
That would be pretty fun to see, I guess. And because there is a lot of in the background of the tour that no one sees that I kind of want to show off.
Especially that.
Yeah.
And I want to see nervous people on the top.
Nervous people. That is actually, for the people who haven't been on a freeride competition, to walk around and see people on the start gate is like the best thing ever. Unfortunately, you're right there with them. So that kind of sucks. But it's been a tactic of mine over many years to I see those people hurdle up in like a little pit. Maybe someone is thrown up to walk and just throw them off the game by oh, did you get a new car? It's like, how is it? And it's like they're sitting there and focus. Just mess it up for them. I'm a nice guy, but it's fun too. And sometimes it snaps them out of the really dark place they're in at the moment.
How do you deal with and reduce fear?
That's my son in the background, if anyone's here. He's unhappy. If you come to the point where you have actual fear, it's gone too far. You have picked something that you should not do. Extreme nervousness, you're still in it. And how you deal with that is to... I have a hard time finding the word for this, but you have to just realize that you are nervous because it's a competition, but you do know how to ski. You know what you're gonna do. Now it's just a matter of staying focused, not back out from your line, and just go do it. Go jump off something, for crying out loud, and you'll be fine. But if not fear, just extreme nervousness.
I like that you make a difference between the two. Extreme nervousness. I'm pretty sure I would call that fear already.
It's a fine line, but you have to find it. And I guess that's a tactic. That's something you learn over the years. Or you're actually scared, or you're just extremely nervous.
What's the difference to you?
Well, if you're scared, you probably have something that would kill you or severely hurt you in the first place. So you have picked a line that maybe is not the smartest move. If you're extremely nervous, you're gonna be nervous, like you don't want to crash. It sucks crashing because you could get hurt, and also you lose points and everyone laughs at you. So you don't want to do that. Then you can be extremely nervous. But fear, you probably have something too dangerous. So I like to separate the two. Because you can throw up on both. So that's not an indication. So it's a little more complex than that. I have no good answer. You have to find that feeling within yourself and separate the two.
Yeah, now I'm thinking, what's the difference for me? Fear.
Yeah.
I would like to define it like this, like I might not have tested the extreme nervousness, but nervous kind of keeps you alert and make you perform better, more awake, while fear starts to be debilitating.
That's a very good way of putting it. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
When you're on a sketchy ridge, kind of hike, like walking, following some people, and you find yourself just climbing, like holding onto the snow and don't really want to move.
Yeah.
You're not nervous anymore.
You're afraid.
You're afraid, and it's not good.
And yeah, you can hardly walk properly.
Exactly.
If it was no consequences, it would be no biggie at all.
Yeah.
And since I brought up the topic, how I think about reducing, when I feel fear, I don't do anything. I never do a trick when I'm afraid of it.
Right.
If I'm just nervous, then I'm happy to do it. And I try to let that fear guide me to little exercises and steps to reduce the fear.
Right.
And I like to think of the fear like when I was learning, I wanted to learn how to double cork, and I was afraid of it. And then I knew I thought of it as my body's way of telling me you're not ready, because it's too much unknown. You don't know if you're gonna pull this off. And then I had to do little drills and stuff for myself, doing like really tiny corks and big corks, and try to put it in my head together and then go for it. Once the fear has subsided and it was only like some nerves left, that was enough to like make me highly alert and ready to go.
Is this all from the ski instructor? You like
No,
pick this up, break it down, because it sounds like a very good way of going about it.
It's just the way things have developed naturally in my world as soon as I've been nervous, because I've always been people don't believe it, but I'm really not brave or something like that. I'm just calculated.
Yeah.
And if I feel fear, I don't do it. I only do things once I'm that confident I will land it.
Gotcha.
Probably first attempt or land on my feet and be okay. Because in freestyle skiing, land on your feet, it's all what matters.
Yeah.
Exactly how you land, if it's on one leg, a little crooked, that's okay. But as long as you take the impact on your legs, it sucks to land on your shoulder or something.
Yeah, it's a little firm there.
Yeah, a little bit, and you could quickly break a collarbone or something. And that's lame.
So is that, say, the old like calculated risk type of thing?
Yeah. Or to reduce the fear, I like to think of it as like reduce the fear comes from the unknown.
True.
And to reduce that unknown for Freeride lines, I've been like looking an extra time on the phone of the picture of the line or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then talk to others if they know what the snow was like. Or
it's a good point with the unknown. I think that's when at least me and Tudel and the other guys, when we back out from something, is when usually the phrase is usually there's too many question marks. Because too many unknowns is like, will that go, and also that, and it's just it's and if you would never have the time to get fair, because we drop it right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine standing on the start gate and like, I have 3 question marks in my run, I would be terrified.
Is it a bit of a team effort when you guys put together a line?
A lot of times it is.
Do you mostly talk to the other Swedish athletes, or is it?
Mostly with other Swedes. I find it good to talk to the snowboarders too, because we can be a little bit more open towards each other on the lines. Hard also because we rarely look at the same takeoff landing type scenario that we prefer. But amongst the Swedes we're pretty open. Most of the people on tour are pretty open with what they're gonna do or go. And usually there's only a couple of obvious cliffs, so that people are gonna looking, and if someone has spotted like a hidden rock that they know because their friend told them they were here 1 week before and it snowed over, they will share it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty great about the tour actually. But we have some riders, and rightfully so, and I mean, I'm sure we all do it at some point when you find something like, I don't think anyone has seen this.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe want to keep that little ace for yourself. But if someone comes and asks about it, then you might spill it.
Yeah, because it does matter, right? If there is a line on the takeoff and the landing or not.
Yeah.
Do you get a little bit more points if no one has hit it yet?
You do, but there's an ongoing discussion. Well, you do from half of the judges and half not, and it's an ongoing discussion if you should. because someone can steal the line that they saw you did. So if you were last rider, you would be alone on it. But if you're fifth rider, maybe 3 more people do it because they saw you do it or something like that. So it's like that whole thing gets kind of weird. Plus they have compared it to, but no one has done that line ever. It's like, well, as far as you remember, but I remember that Seb Michaud did that line in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
But you gave him more points because you think that no one had done it.
Yeah.
Then you got a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see.
So I think it shouldn't be.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tricky stuff. That
Tricky
judge.
stuff.
I would hate to be a judge.
But you competed in freestyle
Yes.
for many years.
I never reached such a high level myself. I was winning some competitions around Hemma and Tärnaby where, at the time, like 2005 in Sweden, the level was still quite high.
Yeah.
And did all right. That was back in the day when you can still in Sweden like win with a cork 9 tail or...
I was hoping you were going to say like a straight 7, but that wasn't it.
No, that was maybe 2003 or something. And then I kind of stopped competing until I was went to Switzerland in 2010.
Is that why you stopped?
No, I kind of just stopped because most of my friends stopped because they were too old. They were not 18 anymore. I was like, come on, guys, we're only like 20 or whatever.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking like, because we're not 18.
It says you.
I get it. We were in the park, a friend of mine, when we were 25. Well, he was 25, I was 24, and he did really nice flat 7s.
Ooh.
Like we came down from the mountain, he has his big Kneisel tankers on. You don't even remember that ski?
No.
It was
sound cool. Kneisel
It was
tankers.
one of those early fat skis. Anyway, so you threw a flat 7. 2 kids are standing next to me, 12, 13 years old. And one guy pulls his friend like, did you see that? Did you see that? This old man with a backpack and everything. He's 25. So I'm standing like I'm not going to be in the park anymore.
Jesus. But what was cool when I went to Switzerland in 2010, the level was kind of the same or maybe even slightly lower.
Where at?
In Switzerland.
Okay.
In 2010 and 11, I kind of started again a couple of years later because...
And you're still in it? Because I feel like that's the curve in freestyle. Like it goes so fast.
Yeah, it's incredibly high at the moment. But then tried some competitions again. Did all right, I'd say, in Larks and Surselva Open and some other places. It was a cool time to get back into it a little bit, just for the fun of it. To, like you said, to get that keep the edge and stay young.
Yeah,
because it's something so youthful about. Competing and trying your absolute best.
You cannot allow yourself to get any excuses for not doing stuff. Like when I hear, I'm too old for that, or I have this back home. So like, you just don't want to do it. Like, you should do it because you do stay young and you keep your edge. Yeah, don't be stupid, but some people make excuses too early, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
I think we're moving towards the end of this little interview, and
I want to talk more about you. About
me? All right, let's do it.
Yeah, so I kind of want to know a little bit more when you competed, and you moved to Switzerland, and then you did a final competition, or are you gonna pick it up?
Oh well, my last competition I did was Race-Pow this spring.
Mm-hmm.
I came in
this spring.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I came second place after my cousin Eric Lundmark.
Sweet.
Family in the podium. Close that my little brother would have joined too.
No, really?
Yeah, but it was a weird year. We'll see if there'll be a video from it because it got so weird. It got weird because the conditions allow one good first day. That I was really unhappy with my run.
Okay.
Because I went a little too much of an angle off a drop and it became tiny and I was ashamed of it.
Crap.
Yeah. I hope you never see it. Don't be ashamed.
That's the worst though, when you're like, oh man, you can feel it in the air, like it's so lame.
Yeah. But that was cool. And the competition before that was also Race-Pow before the pandemic. came like 7th or something, but at least then I had some fun on the rides. At least I got to drop like decent 5-meter drop to flat. Like definitely not my age in degrees.
Okay, no.
More like
that's a
25
mistake.
degrees rather than 31.
Well, if you do one every year, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, and it was like super firm, Swedish firm. The skis didn't sink in anything.
There's loud skiing.
Yeah, and freestyle competitions, the last one I did was probably in 2014, 13. You were actually getting FIS points. It was something on the Swedish tour.
Okay.
In Valsberg Pite, because that cousin again, Eric, he kind of dragged me into it, and I was close to the university where I was studying, and that was great fun. I remember I got to put down a pretty fun line with cork 9 tail. That's always in my competition lines.
Okay.
And flat 7.
Yeah, not mine.
Maybe I missed the 7 too. Kind of. I'm not sure. It's a while ago. I did all right, I think.
Yeah, when was this?
2013, 14, perhaps. So it's been a while.
It's a little while.
It's a while ago since the last freestyle competition.
Yeah.
But but I'm not so interested in it. I quite like the way I'm skiing at the moment. I can have a really fun time in the park. I've just been getting on rails, especially like slow and steady, a little bit better and better over the last 12 years. I've been skiing mostly in locks, but I have a really good rail setup. And then in freeride skiing is where I want to push it more.
Yep.
With not your kind of skiing, more like an early Eric Pollard maybe.
Gotcha.
If you don't know him, he's an absolute legend in skiing who
There's
started...
people who don't know who Eric Pollard is.
Yeah.
I gotta quit
Young
this.
ones. Young people.
God damn it.
He's a legend anyway. He was the first guy who started landing switch off drops and... or one of the first ones. And he had mad style. Basically do this beautiful swooping lines down what some people like to call a mini golf, big mountain skiing. We got smaller mountains but with flowing fun terrain. That's kind of my cup of tea, I think.
So Canada.
I've never been, but I should go there then.
Yeah, it's sounds like it. Yeah, I was gonna ask that, like a backcountry freestyle too is like don't have to be the most complex trick, just big and clean. Big and clean.
Well, the beauty of what I do is that I'm not a professional skier really. I'm in this new category of skiers who can live off it with some luck and thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
That I'm happy to put out little tricks. You know, if I do a little 180 of a cute wind lip that I think people can relate to, they're gonna like watching it.
I mean, I don't think I would watch your video on, okay, so this is the triple cork, because it's like, yeah, no one is gonna do that. It's like we're not, no one's gonna do that. But with the smaller tricks,
yeah,
like, I could maybe one day, you know.
And I
mean, I checked out your 7 videos and 360. It's like, okay, so taking notes.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, then it turns out you have to practice too. So then I gave up.
Ah, shit. I think you have nothing against practicing.
No.
But I'm trying to, instead of competitions and things, I try to put my heart and soul into one objective, is to like spread the love of skiing. It doesn't matter to me if it's those wonderful feelings you feel when you're like connecting two beautiful carve turns. It's like swoosh, swash, and it feels amazing in your whole body.
Roll over edge shift, like when you jump along, or roll over in the groove.
Oh yeah,
perfect carve.
Yeah,
next turn.
You've seen that video. I'm happy about that one.
No, it's just my everyday.
Oh, you do that too. All right.
no, it's my that came out wrong. It's my it's time I ski and like, oh yeah. But yeah, I saw that video too.
Airing, just spread the fun of skiing, like you were talking about why you didn't like racing anymore. And it could happen to a freestyle skier, freeride skier, and I just try to cross all the boundaries because I don't give a damn about which segment you're in. I'm even gonna do some ski racing videos this winter.
Nice.
Because I have to pass the ski test for the top level ski instructors, so I gotta do giant slalom.
They're pretty harsh.
Yeah, I hear it's pretty difficult.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
You'll be fine.
Maybe not the first time, but if I can bring some freestyle into my run, I would, because to make it fun, but I probably won't.
Don't want to risk it with those guys.
Yeah, so that's the whole purpose these days. Spread
Get a license after license after license.
No, not so many licenses. Well, maybe that's fun too, but I don't care so much.
I'm really jealous of that setup. It sounds great. And it's definitely something to aim towards. We could do a collaboration on how to do a Freeride World Tour competition or a Freeride World Tour qualifier.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, it would be fun. Like this is what you need to prepare. This is what you need to do and scope and check and gear. And
that could be fun. Which competition stop is the closest to Lax?
Fiberbrunn,
Austria. Is that in Tyrol?
Yes.
Yeah.
Close to Kitzbühel. And then we can go racing in Kitzbühel. I always wanted to do the Honeycomb like live, for real. I've done it with powder skis and slush, but it was not the same.
So to rent some proper skis and then blast down. And then go proper fast.
Yeah, I actually looked at the course and I was like, there's no way. There's no way you can make this turn. But
on YouTube, write a little comment. Should we make a little collab about how to do... how a Freeride World Tour day takes place, tips during it, and follow you.
And what to expect. Yeah. That would be fun. Let's do that. If you want.
If you want, and if we can fit it in.
Yeah, and if I qualify.
Yeah.
I will go there anyway. They can't stop me.
You just rock up on the face.
Yeah, so what are you going to do?
I'm the mayor of Stomptown.
Yeah.
Just let me in here. Yeah, well, I was trying to ask you something earlier on. For like, do you have some advice for pretty good freeride skiers? How can they become way better freeride skiers?
Wow.
Like rad.
Like rad freeride skiers. Many ski days.
Good advice.
Yeah. Well, it's true. You need those hours, but you need repetition and analysis. Like, it's boring, but you need to actually look into your own skiing, not just do it and like, okay, that was a good day. Like, look what you did, what felt good, what didn't. Maybe see some videos of you. Maybe not in the coolest spot, but where you can actually see what the hell you're doing. So if you're filming yourself doing a drop, look how you skied into that drop. Because if you just look at the drop and you landed it, stuck it nice, but like, how did you ski in? You came in on a side slip or a little bit from the side. It's like, it's not the coolest.
Doesn't look so nice.
No, exactly. So like, don't forget the little pieces. So when you start puzzling all that together, then you become a better skier.
Do you think it's a good idea to look at the scoring criteria for the Freeride World Tour? Like, you have those bars, fluidity, something.
Right.
And I think about that in your own skiing, even if you are nowhere near starting to compete.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. They're not as heavy on those criteria as they used to be, but I mean, that's definitely what it is, and a lot of people forget about fluidity. It's like, okay, I did this, I did it with good technique, but it went slow, or something like that. Or you couldn't find the cliff to begin with. It looked like you were searching for it. So yeah, do a little mini competition with yourself. Go out and this is just something that I think would be fun for people to practice, which is very helpful if you compete or film, and which is dying a little bit. Do some line checking. A lot of people just do the one cliff and then do the next lap, same thing. Find the actual little face and see if you can memorize it, turn it in your head, and just go for it when you're up there, instead of just doing one hit after another or stuff you already know, just to practice the visual inspection of a line.
Good idea.
But be careful.
Be careful. Freeride skiing can be deadly. It's serious stuff.
And if your memory is terrible, it can be a bad idea. So make sure that you 100% know what it looks like.
Yeah, that's where the fear comes into play again. Yeah. If you actually feel fear, it will kind of help you to remember it, because you'll look at a photo over and over again until that certainty has reduced to like, I know where the hell I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely what you need to do. Sustainable skiing.
Yeah, I don't know if people have been hearing your son Tor crying in the background. But
that's my wife. No, yeah, he's a little cranky.
Yeah, at the moment. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to your home to do this podcast.
My pleasure. Hope to see you this winter.
Yeah, Fiberbron maybe.
So should I subscribe to your channel, and do I have to do something?
No. No, but you can subscribe to Reine's channel here and push him to make some sweet content from the Freeride World Tour next winter.